Hello YouTube, this is the big resolve. This is where I take your issues in filmmaking and editing and I resolve them inside DaVinci Resolve. First of all, an introduction. I'm Truman Terracotta, I'm a cinematographer here in the UK. I've worked on documentaries, TV shows, feature films, commercial work, pretty much anything I can get my hands on. I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of good people in this industry and I've learned a lot along the way, so what better way to use it than to help you guys out? I'm going to be running through 4 main popular effects at the moment, but I've got 3 that I'm going to stick in there that are just a little bit of extra sauce. I personally use these every single day, and one of them you honestly won't expect. So make sure you stick around for that one. We're getting technical on it, but not too technical. I'm gonna walk you through every part of it. Don't worry. I'm also not here to sell you anything. Everything I do on this is free. I will be putting out some free assets to help if you'd like them, but it's completely optional. Anyway, that's enough introduction. Let's just head straight in. Number 1 is 1,000 frames per second on any camera, and I really do mean any camera. You don't need expensive equipment for this one. This does work in the free version of DaVinci Resolve, but it works better in the paid version as well. Right, so the key thing here is the setup, what you set your camera settings as. If you can do 60 frames per second, amazing. If you can do 120 frames per second on your camera, even better. Most phones nowadays can do 120 or 240 frames per second, so we're all set for this. The most important thing to remember while doing this is your shutter speed. So as you can see right here, my frames per second is set at 120, but if we go into shutter speed, usually you double it for that natural motion blur when you're filming, but we're going to crank it right up. We want that shutter to capture as many images as possible, so we're just going to double it, maybe actually even triple it. 1/1000 or a 90-degree shutter angle should be perfect for this. Now you're set to go shoot. I got a clip the other day when I was out playing basketball and I thought this would look amazing at 1,000 frames per second, so let's have a look. So I've added a little bit of that speed rampy goodness, and right here you can see it just goes boom. That looks so crisp. There's no stutter whatsoever. I don't know if you guys remember when you had the slow-mo that was all janky and artifacty and just took forever to do. We've come such a long way and it's now so easy. So here's the settings of how you do it. You're going to select your clip and open up the inspector. You want to scroll all the way down to where it says retime and scaling. Open it up and change the retime process from project settings to optical flow. And if you're on the free version, change motion estimate to enhance better. Or if you're on the paid version, go to AI Speed Warp Better. Now it's worth saying that this can take a minute depending on your system and how fast your computer is. Something I've found to help that, so you go up to playback, scroll down to render cache and check user, and then just right click on your selected clip and go to render cache fusion output, turn that on, and then just below it, also check render cache color output. You'll see a little red bar up here above the clip on the timeline, and when it's loaded, it will go blue, and that'll just make the playback super smooth. So now we're ready to play about with how slow and how fast certain bits of the video go. You can either right click your clip and go up to retime controls, or I have it set to Command R for a shortcut. Now all I want you to do is play your clip until you get to a point where you'd like to slow it down. You see where it says 100% and it has the little arrow? I want you to click the little arrow and click add speed point. This is where you're going to define where your clip changes speed. So now we're going to find the second point. So let's stop right about there. Click on the arrow again, add another speed point. So now this section is ready for us to adjust. On this little white bar here, if you click and hold the top tab and drag it, you'll see that percentage is now going down. That means the clip is playing at 50%, 30%, 10% of that speed. So super slow-mo here, I filmed in 120 frames per second, and if I slow it down to 10%, I'm now getting 1,200 frames per second. Look at that, just like that, super smooth slow-mo. One of the best parts about this is just speed ramping in and out of that super slow-mo. So there you go, that's it, 1 tip down. How easy was that? Okay, number 2 is the invisible effect. I actually saw it on the TikTok video and I can't remember his name, but I'll put it right here. I don't know if this is the way that he does it, but this is the way that I do it, and I'm very happy with the results. So let's jump in. So firstly, you're gonna need a clean plate. And if you don't know what a clean plate is, it's essentially your shot, but without you or any other subjects in it. Ideally, this would be a locked off tripod shot, because if you have anything that's moving about, sometimes you can get a bit of crossover. You'll see what I mean. So here I've got my camera set up on a tripod and I've got the clean plate. Now all I need to do is step in and do the motion that I want to do. I decided to do this sort of like ducking and weaving motion just to really see how the effect would act with everything around me. Right, so now we've got both our clips. The first thing we want to do is put them in the timeline. We want to put the clean plate on the first layer and then our movement on the layer above it. Make sure the clips are the same length and then hit right click and click new fusion clip. And I know, Fusion, scary, blah, blah, blah. It's really simple. Let me just walk you through this. So head into Fusion and you'll see that you've got both of your clips and a load of merge nodes, which you now don't need. So first thing you're going to do is get rid of the background and the two merge nodes. Next, let's identify which of these clips is you and which is the clean plate. So we're just going to click and drag one of them into the viewer, and that is the clean plate. So what we'll do is we'll click that, hit F2, and just rename that clean. And then the other one, rename it me, or whatever your subject is. So with the clean plate selected, we're going to hit Shift, Command, and Spacebar, and that will bring up our Fusion Action tab. We're just going to type in display, click that, and it'll add that node into our tree. We don't need to change anything about the displace node for now, we'll do that in a second. Next, click on me, and again, hit Shift, Command, and Space, and this time we're going to type in Magic Mask. Magic Mask is for the paid version of DaVinci, which I heavily recommend as a one-time off, but if you don't have it, you can just hand mask it beforehand using some power windows. In the Magic Mask, we're just going to put a couple of dots on us so that it picks us up. And then we're going to select these two arrows that are facing forwards and backwards to track it. Now that's done, we have a cut-out version of me on top of our clean plate. Now we're going to connect the Magic Mask to our displace node from the green arrow so it puts it in the foreground. So clean plate is background, we are the foreground. There, as you can see, we already have an invisible effect going. Now we can adjust the displace node, and this is all personal preference, but for me, the refraction strength should be about 0.5, and the light power I found in this one was best at 0.2. But just play around with it and see what you think, there's no wrong answers here. If you want to add an extra little something as well, then go back onto the Magic Mask and hit Shift, Command, Space, and type in glow. Adjust the glow size down, I went for 2.4 here. I also put the glow down to 0.2. And this is nice, I think it just adds that extra little something for me. And there we go, another one down, and that was in Fusion as well. So on to number 3. So this is more of a mini workflow tip if anything, but it's that one that I said would surprise you. And I just simply call it 1, 2, 3, QWE. And all this simply allows you to do is just scrub through your footage and trim and delete stuff with one hand super quickly. I've talked about this a little bit on my TikTok already, but I feel like it's worth mentioning here as well. So we're going to hit Shift Command K to open up our key customization, and we're going to go to the search bar and type in play reverse. Under the playback section, click play reverse and change that to 1. Now go back into the search bar and type in pause dash start. By default this is set to space, but I also had it set to 2. And for number 3, we're going to go into the search bar and type play forward. And under the playback section again, play forward, change that to 3. So now with this alone, 1, 2 and 3 means you can reverse, stop, start, and fast forward with just 1, 2, 3. This becomes super intuitive so quickly, and it's one of those things that saved me so many hours scrubbing through footage. That alone is great, but the QWE part makes it even better. Go back to the search bar and type in start to playhead. And under the ripple section, you're going to go start to playhead and put in Q. Go back to the search and type in end instead of start. Under ripple again, end to playhead and type in E. And now the last one is simply split clips. I'm just going to change that to W. Now when we're scrolling through our footage and we find bits we want to trim the end off of, we just hit E. This will take your position in the clip and just trim the end of it down. And vice versa, if we find a clip that we like and we want it to start here, we then hit Q and it'll delete the beginning of it to meet where you are now. And we use W if we know there's multiple bits we want from a single clip, just to make splits along the way. And then when we're done, E to shorten that all the way down at the end again. And because they're all right next to each other, you end up just going 1, 2, 3, QWE all day long until you've got all your selects and you're ready to go. Guys, truly out of all of these things, this is the one I'd probably recommend most. It has saved me hours, if not days at this point. Another thing is changing the color of anything you want, including this ball. Alright, thank you past Truman. Anyway, as you can see, this is number 4 and it's how to change the color of anything inside DaVinci Resolve. This also really helps upgrade your color grading skills because you can make selected adjustments and not just the overall picture. So for this one I found the more simple to shape, the easier it is to replicate for your first few times. So basketball or football will be perfect for this one. So first we're going to go into the color tab here. I'm going to hit one of my selection nodes. By the way, this is my power grade that I give away for free. The link will be in the description for this. If you like it, use it. If not, use your own. So once we have that selection node selected, we'll go to the power window, click on the circle mask, and just drag it over the basketball. Once I've resized it and feel like it's in a good place, I'm going to bring the softness right down. And if you hit Shift H, you can actually see what the window has selected. I also have this key here, which I don't know what it's called, but if I hit that and shift at the same time, it gets rid of those guides. So I can actually see a proper clean map that I've got. Once you're happy with where that is, go to the tracking tab, hit that forward and back arrow to track it forwards and backwards in the shot. Again, I generally prefer to use the magic mask on this one just because I feel like it gives me a better map. But once you've tracked your object into the scene, now we can start doing the fun bit. Head over to the primaries tab and just start pulling around that offset wheel. You'll see the colour of whatever it is you've selected start changing to that colour. Look at that, look how clean that is the whole way through. Now you can do this with whatever you want. A lot of people use it for the sky, I quite like to do it with petals. Anything that you can get a nice clean track of, perfect. Just give it a shot and see what happens. Woo. Another one down. Okay, it's on to number 5, which is layer masking. We're going to continue using the clip 4 just because we've already made a selection and a track out of something. The only thing we really need to adjust while we're still in the color tab, you're going to right click anyone on the node graph itself and add alpha output. This will add a little blue dot just to the right of the graph. All this does is essentially tell DaVinci that you want no background for that selection. So click and drag from the blue square of your selection node over to that alpha output. Now as you can see, no background. This means we can now shift it a layer up and put our original clip underneath, and now anything we put in between those two layers will appear behind the basketball. This is perfect for text placement, making it seem like it's merged into the scene. So if we go back into the timeline view, go to Effects, Titles, and drag Text Plus in between the two layers. So you can now see that the title sits on top of me, but goes behind the ball. Guys, when I tell you there's infinite ways to implement this into your editing and it always looks amazing. It's just another form of integration and to make things feel cohesive. Obviously, I've done it for text here, but there's no reason you can't do that with other clips, VFX elements, anything you can really think of. Oh, right, we're almost there. We're coming up to number 6, and that is how to make your iPhone footage look like a cinema camera. Now, this one's a little different and maybe a little taste dependent, but using some of the similar things that we've just gone over here, we're going to make any phone camera look like it's got a cinematic lens on it. Because most of the time, the phone clips look like this. They're all quite hard focus, there's no real soft edges to anything, and there's no character to it either. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our iPhone clip here, put it in, then we're going to select our node, and for this one, we're going to outline ourselves. Now we're not looking to do a super clean mask around yourself, we just want to use the circle tool and just make a general selection around us and track it into frame. So I'll open up power windows, put a circle, and just make sure it's roughly over us here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect for this. We're going to up the softness just a little bit, go into that tracking tab and track backwards and forwards. Very nice. So here's where the taste bit comes in. Personally, I like to use something called radial blur. It gives the same effect of those old vintage lenses where everything kind of has a slight blur around the outside edge of it. Oh, I've just realised we need to go onto the power window and invert it. There we go, that's better. Now the radial blur strength is gonna probably want to come down a bit, that's just my personal taste, but you do whatever feels right to you. Again, there's no wrong answers here. I feel like when it's sitting at roughly about 0.2 to 0.25 is kind of the sweet spot for this sort of thing. And there we go. Just like that, already a more cinematic look. How easy was that? If you really want to get in deep with it, then you can use stuff like depth map instead of just the power window to make sure that the bits that are blurred are actually the bits that are further away, like an aperture in a lens would actually work. And maybe I'll do a video on that at some point, but for this one, you get what I'm trying to say. That just leaves our 2 remaining miniature tips, and the first one is to balance color, but to do it properly. How light would actually react in the real world. This is also already set up in my power grade. Again, if that's something you want to download, it's free. Again, no pressure, just makes life easier. So if I go up to my node titled BAL here for balance and right click, you'll see that the gamma has a tick on it because I've changed it to linear. This essentially means that when I go into my primaries wheel and I play about with the gain, it just means that colors would react with the light like they would in the real world. Now with this, less is definitely more. You really want to just shimmy it about until it feels a bit more natural tone. I tend to focus on the skin color more than anything else, or if there's anything purposefully white in the background, obviously you want to set it to that and then change the skin tones afterwards. And there we go, super easy, super quick, but again, something I cannot live without doing now. So for the last one, we're actually going to talk about the delivery page and how to export it for social media, because there's no point doing all of this if you can't share it. So we're going to go ahead and go into the deliveries tab. So I found the best settings for social media tends to be using QuickTime and go into codec and hit H.265. We scroll down, change the quality to restrict to and put that at about 30,000 kilobits per second. Our encoding profile is going to go to main 10, not main 422, just because I found that any social media app tends to compress it once it's in that format. We're going to go into advanced settings, change the gamma tag to Rec 709-A, And just below that, we're going to click force sizing to highest quality and force debayer to highest quality. And well, that's it. There we go. I personally find these to be the greatest tools that I can use at the moment in my editing. To be honest, I absolutely love them. I think any one of these effects by themselves looks amazing, but put them all together and you have something really special. So that's it for today. So if there's anything you want to see in the future videos, please make sure to leave it down in the comments. Subscribe so you see the next video. And yeah, this has been fun. Can't wait to do this more often. I'll be doing more mini-series on TikTok and Instagram, and those links will be in my bio down below as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. Show me your edits. If you can send me your edits, that'd be cool as well. But anyway, that'll be it for today, guys. I've really enjoyed this. I hope you have too, and I'll see you next time.